Kyler Murray play today?
Kyler Murray's playing, and Kyler Murray right now is giving the Los Angeles Chargers all they can handle. And we are live. We are here at Bleav live stream Week 12 reaction show right here on the Bleav YouTube channel. We're live here every single Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Central. Oh, I don't know, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we're ready to react to the Week 12 action today. That's because the Bleav Sports Network has 32 NFL podcasts with 32 former NFL players for every single team. And this show each week will feature our wildly talented and entertaining roster. So jump in the chat, join the conversation, come hang out with us for just about the next hour or so. You can follow me at Joey Sports Guy. You can follow us at Bleav Sports. Let's bring in my co-host for the day. He is Bleav and Steelers host himself, the Christmas tree man. We're getting real follow right now. It's Mark Bergen. What's up, Mark?
Joey, thanks for having me. And yeah, getting into the Christmas spirit. It's not the leg lamp from Christmas Story, but it'll have to suffice. Week 12 edition recap. Let's do this.
It is a beautiful time of year. We've all just stuffed our faces for the last couple of days. We watch football on a holiday, on a Thursday. A lot of people putting up their Christmas trees, their Christmas lights, and even more importantly, after this Week 12 action, Mark, we are moving into December football, where we separate the contenders from the pretenders. And we're going to get into all these games today, Mark, but my overarching feeling is that we saw a lot of that today. I think we got a lot of news on who are contenders and who are pretenders moving forward. And maybe more specifically, who are the pretenders and people we're not going to have to pay attention to a lot over the next month of the season.
I hear that. I'll take this in a little bit of a different direction. I thought it was week of the banged up quarterbacks. I mean, Trevor Siemian versus Matt White, or Mike White for the Jets, exactly like we thought before the start of the season. But it was like Lamar has been banged up. Aaron Rodgers has got his thumb injury. Kyler's finally back from an injury. Justin Fields sat out today, and Matthew Stafford's not playing for the Rams. So this was the week of the backup quarterback, in my opinion, Joey. Just my opinion.
And as we're looking at the live action right now, let's just catch everybody up. We got 34-27 Seahawks over the Raiders right now. 24-17 Cardinals holding off the Chargers for the moment right now. That game's in the fourth quarter. 13-0 49ers over the Saints. Andy Dalton versus Jimmy G really bringing the fireworks. And then finally 23-10 Chiefs over the Rams. That looks to be pretty well in hand. I'm going to give you first dibs. Let's kind of hit a couple of these games real quick before we welcome Bleav in Panthers Desmond Johnson. What was the game that stood out to you the most today? And maybe the one that's going to reverberate into Monday and into week 13 moving forward?
Oh, man, I suppose the Browns over the Buccaneers, because the Bucs were a heavy favorite in the NFC South, even though they haven't been up to snuff. But this is a bad Browns team that's been at the bottom of the AFC North division, and they're able to eke one out today. I know Njoku, the tight end, had a great catch on a fourth down conversion late in that one. And Jacoby Brissett goes off a winner because next week Deshaun Watson is back for the Browns, and he's going up against his former team, the Texans, in week 13. So to me, that was the one that stuck out the most to me, where I was most surprised by. And that's more so considering, the Bucs haven't been great this season, but the Browns have just been that bad. And they get a win today on Sunday against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. And I'll tell you what, too, Joey. If Tristan Wirfs, their offensive tackle, misses substantial time, look, I don't expect the Bucs to be contenders, but I do expect them to win that division. You never know what can happen when you get hot in the playoffs. But if they don't have Wirfs for the long term, that's a huge blow for Tampa. So that's what I took away from that one.
And just a lot of troubling, more red flags on a week-to-week basis from this Buccaneers team. They were 4 for 15 on third down. That is not very that is not known to be a Tom Brady type offense. 9 penalties again. And this is a game you're talking about that the Buccaneers should have won. That honestly, they I don't want to say they had it in hand, but they were up 17-10, deep into the second half, and they couldn't get it done. And you go back and you look at the 9 penalties, the injury to Wirfs, the third down, and then again they continue to struggle in the red zone. Look, they're 5-6, Mark. The Buccaneers are. And the Falcons today, they blow a game themselves. They had an opportunity. We'll get to that one in a second. They lose today. They're crushed, but they look at it still, Mark. They're only 5-7. I mean, in a terrible division, the Buccaneers still have it at the top. But, I mean, you're sticking with the Buccaneers, right? But I think you're leaning towards, maybe the Buccaneers are a little bit more pretenders than they are contenders at this point.
Easily. I mean, and that's what the eye test tells you. And I know you never want to bet against Tom Brady, but they just haven't looked right this season, and they really struggle to run the football. And when that onus then falls on 45-year-old Tom Brady, I know he led the league in passing a year ago, but this offense just hasn't looked right. There have been rumors that they would get rid of their offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich. I don't think that would solve any of their problems. And I don't know if they have the personnel, but when they struggle to run the ball as much as they have, it limits what they're able to do, because Tom Brady, as great as he is, isn't like one of these other young stud quarterbacks who's able to run around and create plays with his legs and force defenses to be honest, and play 11 on 11. That's never been Tom Brady in his prime, let alone now at the age of 45.
Putting up the passing yards, right? But he's only got 14 passing touchdowns through 11 games, which is still a solid number, especially this year considered with the quarterback play. But you're right, man. This is not the Tom Brady type offense that we're used to seeing. I mean, he is missing Mike Evans left and right. It almost looks like they haven't been playing together for the last several years. They're not on the same page. Godwin had a good day today. You know, the kid, Rashad White, had a solid performance, but again, without Leonard Fournette in the lineup too as well. They're missing that 1-2 punch, which they're going to need, Mark, moving forward if Tristan Wirfs is going to continue to miss time. Let's hop over to that Commanders-Falcons game.
Okay.
Commanders, 19-13. They win. They are now 7-5. The Falcons are 5-7. On that last play there, I don't know why you're going into shotgun with Mariota. And then you're doing a play action. And then you're going to try and dump it off in front of the goal line to Cordell Patterson. It gets tipped. They pick off the pass. Let's keep it cut and dried and simple, though. Commanders, contenders, or pretenders right now?
I'll go pretenders now. And this is more so indicative. The NFC East, in my opinion, is on the up and up, and one of the best divisions, if not the best division in football this season. The question I have for you, Joey, is clearly you're going to go with Taylor Heineke over Carson Wentz the rest of the way. How are Commanders fans feeling if Heineke is the week 1 starter of the 2023 season? I'm rocking with Heineke for the remainder of this season, but how do they feel a year from now if Heineke is still the guy with what looks like a loaded 2023 quarterback class? That's kind of the question I have big picture, because yes, the Commanders now at 7-5, sneaky good. And they've got their running back Robinson solid, and McLaurin is one of the most underrated receivers in the league. But if Heineke's the starter week 1 of 2023, how are you feeling if you're a Commanders fan? If I'm asking the question, Joey, I probably know the answer to that. That's no knock on Taylor Heineke, who's made the most of his opportunity. But that's just, what we expect when we're talking about elite level quarterback play. I'm definitely rocking with Heineke over Wentz for the remainder of this season, though.
I completely agree with that. I mean, his numbers aren't great. I'm going to say it. His numbers aren't even good, but they're figuring out a way to win games right now. Their defense is getting a little bit healthier, and I agree with you. They're in the hunt graphic right now for the playoffs. Hop in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You mentioned the defense. I know Chase Young's finally back. The Commanders' front four is downright scary. First round talent. Yes, it's just like, let's race to the quarterback and see who eats first. So you mentioned their defensive line. When the Commanders took it to the Eagles a few weeks back, it was smash mouth. We're going to control the line of scrimmage, dominate the game, and control time of possession football. It's old school. It's meatball. We're well into November, almost into December, going into January. That's what it's going to take to win as you get later and later in the season. I love that front four for the Commanders.
Yeah, just to rope back around to your question, if you are a Commanders fan, now let's just say that they either play into week 18 and they have a shot at the playoffs, and let's say they get in, maybe they play one. I mean, they've already played a playoff game with Heineke before, right? I mean, there is a little bit of proof in that pudding, just a touch. But man, emotionally, this is a little bit of my Bears corner too as well. And we'll bring on Des Johnson in just a second. He probably knows a thing or two about quarterbacks in this situation. I think emotionally, Commanders fans would probably be on board with him possibly being a week 1 starter next year. My only problem is
you just said possibly, analogy. Joe. You don't even believe that. Sorry, finish your point. You just said no, possibly.
Because I can live in a world where emotionally they're cool with it, but you and I both know this is a starter out of the bullpen right now, and he is in the 4th inning of just, trying to extend a game after someone else, Carson Wentz, gets blown up in the second or first inning, right? And right now
I
he
hear
is
you.
just riding it out, and he's not a 17-game quarterback. That is the inherent problem that the Commanders have moving forward with Taylor Heineke. Will they be cool that in their heart emotionally? I think that they would, but by October, by Halloween, they're going to be thinking differently. And
Yeah,
that's
they're
why
going to
you're
be
going to see
thinking
this.
differently because you just saw the huge deal Dak just got in the, quote unquote high flying Cowboys offense in your division. Whether that's warranted or not, I don't know. But if Jalen Hurts continues to be in the MVP race, and we've seen what the Eagles have done thus far this season, you look across the division, Joey. That's more so what I look at when determining, should this be the guy for the Commanders moving forward or not? Again, there's no knock on him because he's made the most of his opportunity. It's just the reality of the NFL.
No, right. And it's funny too. You might have a division like the NFC East that has every single team over 500 by season's end, possibly 3 of them in the playoffs, and half of the division's quarterbacks next year, maybe a different person under center, the Giants, and maybe the Commanders too as well moving forward. Let's bring him in. He's Bleav in Panthers host. He is Des Johnson. Also host of Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Desmond, welcome back into Bleav NFL Live, man. Good to see you. How was your holiday? And we're going to talk a little Panthers at the top. Are you ready?
I'm ready. My team is 4-8 and like still in the playoff hunt for some reason. So, so like I think we're like a game and a half out of first at the end of November.
Desmond, you look absolutely relieved compared to the last time we talked to you. It's a Thanksgiving miracle. Matt Rule's been gone for like a month plus now, but you look refreshed. You look re-energized. The last time
before they let Rule go, was that the last time I was here?
Yeah. It was 2 weeks before Baker was still quarterback, and now Matt Rule has an 8-year deal on somebody else's bank account right now. But yeah, just take us in really quick.
There's a twinkle in Desmond's eye tonight. So if you notice, that's the reason why.
I mean, it's crazy because with the Panthers, me and Jonathan Stewart, Skylar Callahan from the Bleav in Panthers podcast, we've kind of settled on they just need a game manager. Like they just need a game. They've got enough to win football games. They just need someone that won't turn it over, throw it for about 200 yards, give me a touchdown or 2. That's it. And it kind of feels like after today, that person was on the roster the whole time, and it was Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold did it today. Yeah,
he did it today. He started kind of off PJ Walker-ish and then started to stretch it out a little bit more. Love the fact that he was actually getting DJ Moore involved, which you would have thought the other 2 quarterbacks would have thought to do also. But Sam did. Deonta Foreman got the running game going. I mean, it's a formula that's worked for the existence of the NFL. Like, I don't know why anybody would try to go away from it. And Steve Wilkes, bless his heart, he's tried to stick to this formula every week, and he's winning more often than not.
It's an interesting wrinkle, right? All of a sudden in a season, I don't know. I mean, as an outsider's perspective, I wrote Sam Darnold off like a Christmas and a half ago, and here we are, and he could be playing for you around Christmas time. So yeah, go a little bit deeper into it. I mean, I looked up at one point. I mean, of course, the late games hadn't happened yet, but Sam Darnold was like the number 4 fantasy quarterback of the day. Didn't put up big numbers, right? But he ran for 1. He passed for 1. We'll get to the fact that the Broncos are absolutely terrible in a second, but go a little bit deeper. What did Sam Darnold do today that Baker Mayfield and PJ Walker simply have not been able to do for the Panthers this season?
I was thinking about this while I was watching this game. It felt like for the past, well, really the whole season, the offense has kind of felt like a car without a driver that's like just kind of going down a street. Like you don't know how fast it's going to go or if it's going to hit something or who's going to stop. It's just kind of moving and you get a little nervous because you're like, well, what's going to happen with this car? With PJ, it was like it was hitting speed bumps, like intentionally. Like they were not going to let him go down the field or do anything out of the way to, mess this up. With Baker, it's like he hops in the car, but he's like drunk. So like he's like he might drive straight for 3 miles and then he might be off in a field somewhere. Like you don't know what he's going to do. And they've given him so many opportunities to show what he can do. I don't know if we're going to see Baker Mayfield behind center again in Carolina because there was a stipulation in that trade where if he played, I think it was less than 70% of the snaps, that one of those draft picks would stay a 5th round pick. If he played more than 70%, it moves to a 4th round pick. and he was right on it, like 60-something% when he played last week. So I would think that was their last shot of seeing him. Sam feels like he just got his driver's license and he's cautious and he's going to stop at every stop sign and not go over the speed limit. And every once in a while, if he gets on the interstate, he might go maybe about 5 miles over. But that's all they really needed. That's all they really needed just to win some games. It reminds me of 2014. And I talked to Stu about this a lot because he was on that Panthers team. At this point in 2014, the Panthers were 3-8-1. They were at the bottom of the NFC South. 4 weeks later, they were 7-8-1 and won the division and went to the playoffs. And it feels like that kind of season where it's like nobody wants to win the NFC South. Like no one's taking. I thought Tampa was going to win today until the Browns took an overtime and beat them. And I'm like, all right, well, if Tampa's not going to be able to pull off 2 straight, I think the Saints were losing last time I checked. The Falcons did Falcons things today and they lost. So it's like, why not us? Like, why can't we win it? And I was, having an argument with a friend earlier who's not a Panther fan. And he was like, the Panthers are messing this up. They don't even know how to tank right. And I'm like, they're not tanking. Like they never tried to tank. They just played bad football. Yeah. There's a difference. You can't tank in the NFL. Like we should just get that out the way. I've asked Stu about this. There's no way to take 53 grown men, put them in a locker room and say, hey guys, we want you to play your hardest. But if you don't win, it's okay. Like, just try not to win because there's this one dude that we want to bring in here next year that's younger than all of you that's going to change the face of the franchise. And like that just doesn't happen in the NFL. So I get frustrated when people say, oh, the Panthers should be losing so they can tank, so they can get this mythical player that's going to turn around their fortunes. There's not even a generational kid in this draft. Like, I think it's kind of a weak draft, to be honest. So who are they tanking for if they were going to tank? Like
Desmond, let me hop in here. Call it tanking. Is it not raising the white flag, though, when you trade away Christian McCaffrey and Robbie Anderson, your 2 best skill position players?
No.
So
because Robbie Anderson was not our best wide receiver. That's DJ Moore. DJ Moore's averaged over 1,100 yards receiving the first 3 years of his career, and look who's been throwing to him. It's been DJ. Robbie had 1 year with Teddy Bridgewater where he went over 1,000 yards, and he has regressed since then. So that between that and him acting the way he did on the sideline versus the Rams, he couldn't stay. Like he had to go. Like you can't do that.
I hear that, but I do have a more important follow-up question. I appreciate a good car analogy as much as anyone. Yeah. Are we going to see Baker Mayfield on a Progressive commercial in the future? I've missed that this season.
Better question. Are we going to see Baker on an NFL roster going forward? I don't know if a team picks him up. Look how
you got to answer my question, Desmond. Come on now.
What are you asking me now? If he's going to do any more Progressive?
He's going to be on the Progressive commercials again. I certainly missed that. At home with Baker Mayfield, or what was that in First Energy Stadium in Cleveland? We can get him at First Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. You don't see it next year, huh?
I'm going to go with no. I don't know if Progressive would want him. Maybe if he pays Progressive, maybe they'll put him on some sort of like web spot or something like that. But I don't think that's going to happen. To refer to your front part of that question, though, Christian McCaffrey, the injuries and them trading off McCaffrey makes me feel like the Panthers extending McCaffrey when they did for the amount that they did was a Matt Rule decision. Matt Rule wanted that because he wanted someone to latch onto the franchise as the face of. Because you got to remember when they gave that to him a couple weeks prior, they had just cut Cam Newton, so they were looking for something to latch onto that could sell tickets. And by giving him that contract, you kind of guarantee he's going to be there. He had never been hurt before that, really, even up to high school. So it was a pretty safe bet. And then, you tempt the fates and McCaffrey starts getting hurt. He's 26. By the time the Panthers are really going to be able to challenge in a year or two, he's going to be closer to 30. They would have paid him $60+ million for what? And as you can see, since they let him go to San Francisco on the trade and got back a whole bunch of trade assets in return, the run game for Carolina's been one of the top run games in the league. They've been averaging over 150+ yards a game on the ground using the dual back system. You can't key in on one guy. So, yeah, the first couple of days of McCaffrey gone, it hurt Panther Nation. He was a beloved player. But now after seeing what they're trying to do without him, I'm happy for CMC that he's in a spot where he can really do something this year. But I don't think that it was waving a white flag at all. I think that's what made everybody confused. I think they thought it was a fire sale. But Brian Burns, the Rams offered 2 firsts for Brian Burns, and we said no. And today, I think, was a good indication as to why they said no. Brian Burns was all over the place today. He's a cornerstone that you can build with. You don't necessarily just need 20 draft picks to make a team better. They've been doing that for the past 3 years. Like, why would they gut it again when they never finished building the house in the first place? So I don't think it was waving the white flag. I think they were just trying to get the Matt Rule stench.
I was just gonna say
we can agree to
they took Matt Rule's credit card and they cut up his credit card and they turned the lights on and they called him an Uber and sent him home. The bar is still open, but the Matt Rule party of 20 had to go home.
You got to go. The assistant coaches, anything you touch, you just got to get out of here. And I think that's
Desmond, we can agree to disagree there. I have one more question. It's actually a serious question this time too. Right. Does the general manager Scott Fitterer return in 2023? Because you clean house, you can bring in a new GM to pair with the new head coach. What happens there?
I think he does. It all depends on what happens the rest of this season. Because let's say Carolina, rattles off 3 or 4 wins. They finish 7-10 or 8-9 or whatever it ends up being. They're closer to 500. For Steve Wilkes to pull that off with what he was handed, a month and a half ago, I think he should get serious consideration for, permanent head coach. And if that's the case, you got to keep Fitterer. Fitterer built the roster, over the past year or so. Some of the players that Matt Rule was kind of attached to have been kind of quietly moved. Robbie Anderson was one of them. Robbie Anderson played for Matt Rule in college. So, I mean, some of those guys where they might have still had loyalty to Matt Rule, they kind of got either, benched or moved off or cut or whatever. Guys that weren't seeing playing time, like Terrence Marshall Jr., the wide receiver from LSU, disappeared in his offense the past year with Matt Rule here. As soon as Matt Rule is gone, Terrence Marshall shows up and looks like a number 2 wide receiver all of a sudden. Like, it's just, it's amazing and appalling how mismanaged this roster was with Matt Rule at head coach. I don't know if he had too much on his plate or the NFL was just over his head. But I don't blame any of this on Scott Fitterer. Like, I look at the picks that he's drafted and the moves he's made, the draft collateral we've been able to kind of reassemble. The Panthers aren't in a bad spot. They just played bad football. So to answer your question, no, I think Fitterer's safe. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think Tepper really likes him.
Mark Bergen and Desmond Johnson here on Bleav NFL Live. We're recapping Week 12. Gentlemen, I want to move over to another game. And in honor of Thanksgiving, I still got the oven on at 425 degrees. So I got a hot take coming at you right now. We're talking contenders and pretenders today, Desmond, because honestly, as the calendar flips over to December, and I think this week was really instructive of we're really starting to figure out which teams have some staying power, which teams are obviously going to be in the playoff picture moving forward over the next 4 weeks, and more importantly, who has a shot at winning a playoff game. We all think we have the same amount of elite teams at the top. So I'm just going to say it right in here. The Ravens are bad. The Ravens are pretenders. It's been going on for a couple weeks now. They won 13-3 last week. I mean, losing today's game, I think really started to expose not just what's wrong with the Ravens offense, because granted, they put up some points today, but more so like there's something about the Harbaugh machine where they've been eking out these wins. And if you look at it, they're atop, the AFC North right now. They're tied with the Bengals. So technically they're in the 4th seed right now. But, I mean, if you're going on the road to play them in Baltimore, I'm not scared of the Baltimore Ravens at all. Talk me off the ledge. Tell me I'm wrong. Mark, if you want to go first, or Des, if you want to go first, then Mark, either or. I just don't think the Ravens are a good football team. We have someone like that in the playoff picture every single year. All they do is kick field goals. And I just don't think they have any staying power. They're pretenders.
You want to go, Mark?
Sure. I'm appalled, Joey, because the moment the Bears trade away Roquan Smith, it's like a bitter divorce, and you just want nothing to do with him. And he's been fantastic for this Ravens team. I think it's time the league forces Justin Tucker to kick with his left foot. It's not fair because you get over the 50-yard line and you're within range for Justin Tucker. When you're in a playoff game,
where would they be without him?
They win many games when it's tight and it's marginal late in a playoff game and you need 3 and you're within 60 yards, you can turn to Justin Tucker and say, hey, go knock this through. He nearly made a 67-yarder today, which is why I think the NFL should mandate he kicks with his left foot from here on out.
Oh my Lord. I I don't know. Considering my team just lost to the Ravens last week, I feel uncomfortable saying that they're not good. I'm looking at their schedule going forward. They've got the Broncos, who we just beat. So I feel pretty confident that the Ravens can handle them. At the Steelers, at the Browns, Falcons, Steelers, Bengals.
We're not going to learn anything. We're not going to learn anything from them at all, and they're not a good football team. They're
Well, I
going to
don't
pick up. They're
disagree
going to
there
stack
because
wins.
the Broncos and Steelers have the two worst offenses in the NFL, Joey, and they're going to pick up wins there.
Yeah, I don't. Their division's not very hard either. They got the Bengals, but I've always said never trust the Bengals back-to-back years. Like my entire lifetime, I've never seen a Bengals team.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Just don't trust them. Like they weren't even supposed to be there last year. Like what are you doing here? I'm looking at their any team that can run the ball, I can't put down in December. And if I'm not mistaken, the Ravens are the number one rushing team in the league. Is that right? Still, I'm trying to find.
I think the Bears are
We'll get IT
up,
on this.
They're up there. They're like top 5, I think, at least. I think
Bears are top 5, Falcons are top 5, and I think the Ravens are right there.
Because actually, if I remember correctly, last week, even though the Panthers lost, they stopped a streak that the Ravens had going on where they had rushed for 150 yards in like 7 straight games. They were trying to rush for their 8th straight. And the last team to do that, Joey, was the 1985 Chicago Bears. So any team that's doing something that the 85 Bears was doing, I don't know if I could say they're a bad team. I would say this, though. I don't know, even though I know he hasn't had a great playoff record, I don't know how comfortable I would be playing Lamar Jackson at home in the playoffs as a AFC team, unless you're Kansas City or
But they've been terrible at home this year. Mark, hop in.
I know.
It's just awful at home,
one shot. Is that one shot having that one dude that can do a billion different things and kill you with his legs, with his arm, and smart enough to get down or get out of bounds. If they're kind of cooking with the run game in December in Baltimore, that's not an easy place to play. If they can just stay atop of the division ahead of Cincinnati, I like their shot. I don't like them as a wild card, but if they come in as a divisional champ, I think they can win a game.
The Ravens are number 3 in the league in rushing right now as it stands, the stats on NFL.com. But then number 2, to piggyback off Desmond's point, Lamar Jackson's in a contract season. So he's going to want to prove and show he's worth all of the money he's going to get this offseason. Now, I know the Ravens could try to franchise tag him, but to me, the floor starts at $46 million of what Kyler Murray got. I think we'd all agree Lamar, say what you want about his playoff shortcomings, is better than Kyler Murray. But a lot of other players in this league have had playoff shortcomings. Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray. I could keep going. If they're making what they're making, there's no doubt Lamar Jackson should get the bag this offseason, and he will. And I think he proves that. He's still a young quarterback. He's like 25 years old. And we already want to write him off and say he's not a winner in the playoffs. Let's see 3 more postseasons. I would say within the next 5 years, if Lamar Jackson is what we think he is, that he'll be a Super Bowl winner by that point. I don't think that that's crazy to say, despite the fact that, yeah, he hasn't looked great in his playoff appearances thus far in his career. He's still a young quarterback.
I hope David Tepper was listening to everything you just said and had a checkbook just kind of sitting on his lap. Like, you know what? Let's go get Lamar Jackson, give him whatever he wants. Like it lines up perfectly if they really wanted to. Another thing too, Joey, the last time the Ravens had a quarterback in a contract year, they won the Super Bowl, and that was Joe Flacco. And I don't think they were picked to win that year either. And he played lights out.
They gave him the bag. They gave him the bag, and it screwed up their franchise for 5 years. I'm not saying that that's what happens to the Lamar Jackson.
Yes, I love this.
Yeah, they got a ring. I mean, if you could. Well, that's the hypothetical though. If you, as a Bears fan, could get a Super Bowl ring and then suffer through 5 years of ineptitude after that, would you take that deal?
Where are the directions? How fast can I get to my car? Honey, I'll be back in a little while because I'm driving to that spot.
That's what the Ravens did.
No. Look, yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm just I see a lot of red flags with this Ravens team right now. I know that they keep winning games. They're going to continue to keep winning games. They have problems in the red zone. Losing Rashad Bateman is a real deal. Yeah. And I get it. Running back by committee in the backfield. And you're right. And I'm speaking about this because this is a contract year for Lamar Jackson. This is not a Lamar Jackson problem, in my opinion. But if you're saying to me right now that they win the division and then they lose a game at home in the first round, as it stands right now, I completely see that as a possibility for the Ravens moving forward. Yeah, I want to hop over to the other game real quick. We got a couple more minutes here with Desmond Johnson here from Bleav in Panthers. Let's talk about this Bengals Titans game. Mark, if you'd like to go first on this one. Monday morning when we're talking about it, is this more about the Bengals continually kind of creeping up and elevating in the rankings among the AFC elite? Or is this also more about, man, the Titans are a tough team to play. No one wants to play them, and they can hang in almost any game with almost any team in the AFC, which makes them, in my opinion, contenders in the AFC, even though I don't really like their quarterback and they don't have the weapons and pieces that wow you, but I mean, they're a well-coached team, and every single week they give everyone their best shot.
I'll approach this from the Bengals standpoint. Joe Burrow's the truth because he's without Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase, his two best skill position players today. And one, again, it was the same thing against the Steelers a week ago when Chase did not play with his hip injury and Joe Mixon got knocked out of that game after he tried to break fantasy football in one half against the Panthers several weeks back. Desmond will be able to tell you all about that if you want to relitigate that. Yeah. To me, this shows Joe Burrow playing a Titans team that wanted revenge. This is the Titans team he knocked out last postseason, got his brains beat in. It's a lucky Joe Burrow's still alive, sacked 9 times in that game and still won. You're meaning to tell me that the Titans didn't want revenge today and he still wins? This guy's the truth. He's the reason why people get so excited when we talk about young quarterback talent in this league. This, to me, is all about Joe Burrow and what he's able to do when it counts, and he delivers yet again.
It's just impressive. Oh, yeah, hop in, yeah.
I was just going to say, sorry, my dog is barking. I was going to say I agree wholeheartedly about the Joe Burrow comparison. I was not a believer in him until that college football national championship game where I watched them dismantle Clemson. Like, I hadn't seen that happen up to that point. And when he did it, I was just like, oh. And then I thought, well, maybe that was just a one-off type thing. And then I know he got hurt rookie year, but last year, that playoff run last year kind of convinced me. I was like, okay, this kid is actually legit. Like, this is not like a flash in the pan type thing. This guy's got all the tools you want. And he's not cocky. He's like, what's the word? Self-assured, I guess. The best quarterbacks in the league have it. Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers has it, but it borderlines on cockiness. Like, you know what I mean? Tom Brady has it, but it borderlines on cockiness. Joe kind of walks that line. And as long as you have him upright and healthy and can protect him, it looks like they only allowed 1 sack today. Whereas the game they played the Titans earlier in the year, I think they gave up 7 or 9 or something crazy like that. If they can protect him and let him put in work, Cincinnati's dangerous, which is, I know I just said earlier in the segment that I wouldn't trust Cincinnati 2 years in a row, and I still wouldn't, but they're very dangerous when they get all their pieces back. Keep an eye on
the difference is Burrow. The difference is Burrow. And last year when he's getting his brains beat in, they led the league in getting him sacked, and they bring in Lyle Collins. They bring in Alex Kappa from the Bucs, Collins from the Cowboys. It was to protect your investment. It was very similar to what the Chiefs had done to protect Patrick Mahomes. But now it takes time for a line to gel a little bit. They can develop that continuity. And this is crazy to say this, but I think in the long run, Jamar Chase being out will help with the development of their other young players, see T. Higgins and what he's doing, to where when Jamar Chase comes back, they're used to being in a role where they have to produce, and Jamar Chase comes back. That's scary as hell. It is scary for any team going against him, and good luck of who you want to stop because, okay, you double Jamar Chase, then T. Higgins is going to get one-on-ones and be able to eat, or you can then go to Joe Mixon and we see what he can do, one of the most underrated backs in the league. Tyler Boyd, a solid slot receiver. I don't need to name drop every player, but you get the point that I'm trying to make in terms of you take away one, it's a pick your poison if you're an opposing defense.
With the Bengals, it'll come down to stopping a team from scoring, because all the scoring teams are in the AFC, Miami, Kansas City, Buffalo. So if they can stop a team from scoring 18, 21, then yeah, they got a good shot. But if it's going to be like a shootout type thing, that's where I'm like, I don't know. It just really depends. But the Bengals defense will be the separator for them to me.
Yeah, in the last couple of weeks, they've definitely shown that they are certainly contenders moving forward, now tied atop the AFC North. Des, we're going to spring you, man. Thanks so much for hopping on. But real quick before you go, Packers-Eagles tonight. Who do you got?
You know what? I have not trusted this Eagles team all year. I know that they've been flying along, and I know they finally lost the game. Where is it? Is it at Lambeau? Or is it in Philly?
It's in Philly, and as we've seen on the East Coast, the weather's been bad all day long. I don't know what the weather in Philadelphia is tonight, but this could be a wet one.
The Packers really need it more. Well, no, actually, the NFC East is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like every team is above 500. Like, who would have picked that at the beginning of the year? I think I'm going to go with the Eagles, even though I just kind of pooped on them a little bit. I've been a big fan of Jalen Hurts since college. I wanted the Panthers to draft him, actually. He's a coach's son. You can kind of tell when he's on the field, the players gravitate to him. He's a leader. And I'm so happy the Eagles finally decided to turn this over to him as opposed to trying to find somebody to start in front of him like they were trying to do before. I think the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, I just think it's done. Has Aaron Rodgers had a good game this year? Like, has he had one good, like, has he thrown for over 300 yards this year?
I don't think he's surpassed 300 yet, Desmond. And I hope you keep the twinkle in your eye for the next month plus. And I hope that Monday's live stream, when the Nebraska Cornhuskers introduce Matt Rule as their next head coach, that you're there leading the bands, and you're just very, very excited now that Matt Rule is back at the collegiate level.
I don't even know how much money David Tepper owes this dude now, because they threw an 8-year, like $72 million contract at Matt Rule. What is
he got an 8-year deal at Nebraska? I don't know what the figure is, but he's getting 8 years in Lincoln.
It's I think it's 72 million is what I saw. And I think we owed him like 40 something million. And the way the contract was written, if he got another coaching job, it would overwrite whatever was owed to him from the Panthers. So David Tepper might be sitting there like this, like, see you later, buddy. I'm heading to Jim Harbaugh's house with the Brinks truck. Let's go make this happen. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's been my tip for like the past year.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, it's a good life. It's a good life if you're Matt Rule. You could fail at multiple jobs and get paid to still do them. Give him the Bobby Bonilla. Desmond Johnson here on Bleav NFL Live, man. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Plug your socials, plug Bleav in Panthers. Great to see you, dude. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I know we've been trying to do this for a couple of weeks. Bleav in Carolina Panthers. This is our bye week going into it. Normally we're twice a week, every Monday at 2:30 live, and I think every Thursday around 1 o'clock live. You can find it on the videos on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. You can get to it there. And those are live streams. The audio is available on the Bleav Podcast Network. You guys know where it is, all major podcast platforms. It's myself, Sports Illustrated Carolina Panthers beat writer Skylar Callahan, and the Panthers all-time leading rusher Jonathan Stewart. And I have no idea what Stu's going to say tomorrow, because he has been picking us beating this Broncos team for 10 weeks, and he is not a fan of the Broncos due to Super Bowl 50. So he was literally waiting, salivating for this game. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he picked the actual score. I think he picked the score that it finished in our previous episode. I'm pretty sure he predicted the right one. So we'll get in all of that, open mailbag, everything else. So come join us. It's a lot of fun. Anytime when you guys want to pop in there, just come pop in and we'll chop it up.
Des, if you want to slide into my DMs, I'll send me your size, and I'll send you a Sam Darnold jersey, and that can Amazon Prime that holiday shopping weekend.
Hey, if he rattles off another 3 or 4 wins for me, and I'm rocking a 2022 NFC South Division champ shirt because of Sam Darnold, you can send me everything. Send me everything.
We're all getting mono.
Well, yeah,
we're all getting mono. Let's
we're all
do
gonna go see mono.
Thanks so much, man, for coming on, dude. Be well. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Joey, it took me a second to figure out what the heck you were saying.
Hey, you're in New York. Interpol's New York kiss. Come on. He was living it up, doing the right things. He's only still 24. That's the funniest thing, is he's younger than Baker Mayfield and I think and PJ Walker, which is so hilarious.
Younger than Joe Burrow, I think. Yeah, go ahead, Joey.
I got a question for you, Mark. Are you thirsty? I'm feeling kind of thirsty right now.
Yeah, let's do it. Yes.
It's time. It's time. It's the holiday season. We're so excited to have her back on here on Bleav NFL Live, talking about a holiday cocktail that you're going to want to try out, not just maybe this weekend or as you're getting ready for Sunday Night Football, but also get ready as the holiday season is coming up right around the corner. She is Bleav's very own Jenna Duddleston. She also just recently had Paul Konerko on her podcast, which has me extremely jealous. But let's bring her in here right now. She's coming in just a second here. But she's going to be doing a holiday cocktail. Here we are. The ingredients are starting to happen. The ingredients are coming out. Jenna, can you hear us? Are you with us?
Not sure if she's here yet, Joey, but while she gets
there, she is. There we
I'm
go.
here. Sorry. I realized I was like, wait, I don't have the cream. I need the half and half. I'm like, wait, shit. So Lo siento, guys. I apologize. Very much apologize. I'm normally more on top of this, but I ran out of vodka the other day for personal reasons, you know.
It's the holiday
Who knew?
weekend.
During the holidays? Yeah.
Right. It's like, so we're kind of doing a little bit different today. But how are you guys doing?
Well, Joey's over the moon looking at that vintage Chicago Bears sweater you're rocking, Jen. I am fantastic. How are you?
You know, for it being a Sunday and I got up 5 times off my couch to just turn the game off and walk out of my house, you know, but besides that, I'm doing fine.
Real quick, before you start making, show us what the holiday cocktail of the week is here on the Bleav NFL Live. Just tell us a little bit. How was your holiday? You know, this is obviously a huge week in the bars. We had something in the Midwest, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. We have a little Black Wednesday when everyone comes back from college, freshman year of college, maybe a level or two up in attractiveness, and everyone goes after it a little bit. And then you have the holidays on Thursday, the fun all this weekend. How was it? Was it a festive time?
It was a festive time. I always say the number one rule with blackout. I refer to it as Blackout Wednesday, not Black Wednesday. Because most people just make really bad decisions that day. But all of that being said, it was great. You never need to make out with the person from high school. That was your ex. It ended for a reason. Remember that, everyone. However, if you did that this weekend, you do not need to text them. Just end it and move on. That's it. That's it.
Jenna, could I hop in with my theory here about this?
Oh, absolutely.
You can't put toothpaste back in the tube, and I'll leave it there.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. Oh my God, Mark, I've never heard it put that way, but that is 1,000% accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, real quick, were you a guy that went out the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving? Was that your night to go wild? Because you also were posting on social media this weekend that you hit Thanksgiving hard, and you do something very special that we all know very well and near and dear to our heart. But you are an elite level napper, it looks like, on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I had
me
to do
too.
it. Yes, I had to do a Friendsgiving this year because I was actually working Thanksgiving Day, and so I did a Friendsgiving the weekend before. Cooked my first bird. Shout out to my employer, Capital Broadcasting Company. They provided any employee who wanted a turkey with the turkey. So if you need an excellent turkey recipe, I'm your guy. I knocked it out of the park, Joey. But yes, I have a tradition every year where I find a spot on the couch, get all nice and nestled up. If I can find a nearby blanket, can use that as my quote unquote patented shepherd boy look. And I take a nice long nap in front of the couch. Usually a Detroit Lions or Dallas Cowboys game is on, and it is an event, is an experience. And if you're lucky enough to see it in the flesh, you should take a picture of it and capture it as a yearly tradition in the Bergen household.
We've got ourselves a real shepherd boy over there. Check him out. He's just over by the manger.
Oh my God.
And he's not.
Oh
and he's
my God.
not coming back. Usually I would just nap on the floor, honestly. If we want to get really awful about it, I'll nap on the floor on Thanksgiving because there's no room on the couches. Just go in front of the TV and just lie it down. Just put it down on the ground.
The beauty of napping is it's wherever you fall. It was like being a little kid again. Remember, like, you used to just take naps in the weirdest places, and then like someone would just pick you up and bring you where you need to go. Like, we just need to like totally be okay with falling asleep wherever your head rests. It's fine. It's just fine, guys. It's totally fine.
Be a shepherd boy. There's nothing wrong with it. Just grab yourself.
Joey, what about you? How was your Thanksgiving? I feel rude if I don't ask.
Oh, mine was lovely. I did the nap the day after Thanksgiving, which was quite delightful. But no, we had an opportunity. I went to my wife's brother's house for Thanksgiving dinner, which is a fantastic spread. Had a good time, watched the football, all that good stuff. But then the day after, it's tradition on her side of the family. Her cousin throws a huge party where everyone brings over their leftover food, and it's all just a halfie of everything. They air fried a turkey, and then they also go through their wine closet, their wine list, and their bourbon list, and they kind of try and like weed out the herd before a new year begins. And so they pull out all this great wine, all this great bourbon, and you just kind of pick at food all night long and have a good night, listen to records. So yeah, I did that. It was awesome. And you know what? I'm 38 years old. I didn't do a second plate of Thanksgiving dinner. Is something wrong with me, or am I actually maturing? I'm at a crossroads, and I don't know if I like it.
How big was your plate?
Oh, I do full plate.
No.
I get the
So it's
Probably
definitely
better
bigger than this
style.
plate.
Oh yeah,
Bigger
yeah,
than this
yeah.
plate.
Like,
okay.
That's a quadrant. We do that's like times that by 4 and put them into quadrants. But no, it was lovely. It was fantastic. It sucks I have to work tomorrow, but such is life, and such is everyone checking this out. Jenna, it's time. Introduce this fantastic holiday cocktail that not only can you be enjoying this weekend, but all month long throughout December, all the way through to Christmas. Tell us all about it.
Exactly.
Joey, before we start, can we make her a larger screen so our viewers can see this better, Joey? I think it would make sense to feature Jenna more prominently. You move things around here.
Let me see if I can.
I think you can
click and I think you can click and drag her into the prominent spot, Joey. I think would be the way. There it is.
Work. I think
there it is.
This is perfect.
I'm sorry, Jenna. The floor is yours.
It's okay. So as you guys know, maybe most people listening, I'm a bartender by trade. My family owns one of the oldest Irish pubs in the United States. I bartended for 8.5 years professionally, and I love a good cocktail. And I think everyone should be able to have like a fancy cocktail drink in their back pocket. It's just like a sexy little characteristic trait to have. And I'm going to have the best drink for you to make at your holiday party. And honestly, you guys can do this the entire month of we're now coming into December, which is crazy. So we are making a peppermint white Russian. We're doing this a little bit backwards. One, because I ran out of vodka the other day, so lo siento. But this is a lot of fun. So first thing you're going to do is you are going to take some white chocolate, okay, and you're going to do 1/2 tablespoon. Now we're doing this just to add a little bit of that sweet flavor. And then once we add a little bit of the peppermint schnapps in, it's going to be really nice and well balanced. Okay. All right. So that is step 1. Step 2, you're going to take 1/2. For anyone, if you are making cocktails, you always want to build your cocktail from non-alcohol to alcohol. Reason why we do this is because if you mess up along the way, you're dumping out the non-alcoholic stuff first instead of dumping out the alcohol. We never want to waste the booze. Okay. Fun fact to remember. Okay. So we're going to do 1.5 ounces of 1/2. You can do cream. I just personally think cream can be really heavy on your stomach, especially when you're drinking alcohol. So I prefer 1/2. Next, you are going to take some Kahlua, at something everyone should have in their at-home bar. Okay. A little bit of rum and coffee liqueur. Okay. 1.5 ounces of that guy as well. Now this is
Mark is writing this shit down.
I am.
Mark,
Mark is taking notes.
Okay. So now this is actually not correct because I ran out of vodka the other day. Just kind of fell on the floor, we'll say. But I am using just white rum. Reason why I've decided to use white rum is because there's already rum in the Kahlua, so it'll balance it pretty nice. And you're going to do 1 ounce of that. However, real recipe calls for 1 ounce of vodka. Next, peppermint schnapps. Now, we've all done some real dumb shit in our days drinking in a bar. Probably something that include drinking a shot of peppermint schnapps. Now, you're only going to do 1/2 ounce of this. Okay. This is mainly just for flavor, just a little bit. Okay. If you're not using a jigger, which is what this guy is, just about a splash of that. That's all it is. That's all we need. Okay. Then fun part, take your ice. You're going to shake it like a Polaroid picture. Okay. Then this is what bartenders call a dirty dump. which means you don't dump it over fresh ice.
Oh, that looks delightful.
She's pretty. If you have a candy cane, you can put a little candy cane in there. Looks like a nice little coffee drink. Mark, I'll just send you. I'll
Dip
send
a
you the video.
gingerbread
Okay?
man
With
in
the
it?
whole recipe. It's screenshotted. It's in there.
Jenna, I don't know if I can wait
What I
till
also
after the
did-
broadcast is over.
What I actually did for the video is I crushed up peppermints, and then you do a white chocolate rim with peppermints along the rim. Again, you guys can get really fancy with this. Like, it's a lot of fun, and you probably have majority of this in your house. And the beauty is, we all have parties to go to. We all have things to do. Get all of these ingredients, call it a day, and you are going to be so happy that you made this for your holiday party. I'm using this to numb the
I
pain
love that drink.
for how bad the Bears were.
We're calling that
Yes.
the Trevor Simeon. Take 2 Trevor Simeons, and we'll see how you feel. See how you feel in the
Wait,
morning.
I think my ribs hurt a little bit. Ugh. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, hold on a second. I might not play. Okay, I know I'm going to
I don't
play.
know
No
what's
worries.
going
It'll be
on.
old,
I think I got a
the
bad
old
wing. No, I'm good.
switcheroo.
See, this would be
White Russians,
dangerous for
I
me.
love them.
Yeah, yes. Like, this would be dangerous for me to
Ugh.
keep in my home because I love White Russians. But I'll say this too: the very
Mhm.
first ingredient you mentioned, white chocolate. If this is disgusting, I don't even care. I would probably just drink that on its own.
know.
I could not leave that in my home. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know myself, and if I had that within my household, it would be gone in one sitting on the first day. I'm just saying.
Mark, I definitely have to hide it from myself. And there are times where I hide it so good that when I made this drink this week, I was like, wait, where did I keep the white chocolate? Like, I know
Yeah,
it's somewhere in my bar. And like my bar, like I'm recording this on top of my bar right now. And it's fully stocked. And I have a whole nother shelf over there that's fully stocked. And I was like trying to go through it and find everything because I lost the white chocolate this week. I had no idea where it was.
At Duddleton's house, the expert Bleav mixologist, her elf on the shelf is basically peppermint schnapps somewhere in the apartment, and it's about waking up each day to see where the schnapps. Oh, the white chocolate, 'tis on the shelf today. Oh, I had fun last night. Oh,
Oopsies.
last night was fun. The vodka
man.
is gone.
Mhm.
Let me ask you really quick.
Yeah.
What's your take on
Yeah.
eggnog? Give us a hard line. Good for holidays. Good for what booze, right? Whiskey is the only way, right? Is there any other way to do eggnog if you're gonna put booze in it?
So we do it with brandy,
Okay.
which is like a derivative, of whiskey. But honestly, I feel like eggnog is one of those things. At least I could say this growing up in an Irish household. It looks nice. Everyone normally has half a glass, and then that's it. So, because we're all beer and wine drinkers. So again, I always say, like, when you're making drinks like this, you don't want a lot of it because realistically, people are only going to have like one, So eggnog, I think is slightly overrated, but will I have it this holiday season? Yeah.
Probably.
It also makes me red. It like, do you ever get like red when you drink certain drinks? Like my cheeks get I get flushed.
Jenna,
Not
I'm
in a
out
pretty
on
way.
I am out on eggnog. However, some creamy Baileys on ice between that and the White Russian you just made. I don't know which I would choose.
Mhm.
The thing is, though, it'd be dangerous because you don't even realize it. And you're like, this is delicious. I'll have another. This is delicious. I'll have
Yeah.
another. And by like your third
I
one,
know.
it's just like, what the heck happened to me? All of my coordination, all of my motor skills are gone.
That's how I feel with old fashions. I love whiskey. So I'm a big whiskey person. And I love an old fashioned. And I remember one of the very first nights I went out and drank old fashions. I looked at the bartender and I said, you have my tab up on that computer screen, right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, how many have I had? Because I feel fine. And that scares me. And she's like, that was your 5th one. And I was like, really?
Hi.
I go, do I have one more? Or like, is 5 like, because I feel fine. And so I changed it up because I was like, we don't want to push that, but That was impressive.
I've lost some miles per hour on the fastball, Jenna, but your love of old fashions is shared. And just remember, when you try to channel your inner Don Draper, not even Don Draper was Don Draper. So there you go.
we all have a little alternative. What is it? Like a Sasha Fierce personality that comes out when you drink alcohol. We all have different personalities, right? Depending on what you drink. I have a few different ones. I think I have 4. I have 4 different personalities that come out depending on what I'm drinking and the mood that I'm in. And I've all given them names. First one is there is Jennifer, and it's fur like that. And she's someone who gets like really like lovey-dovey and emotional and loves to talk about how much she loves her family and life.
Okay, that's one.
She sometimes cries.
Wait, is that white wine? Is that white wine, or is that just the vibe that you need to? These aren't paired to alcohol.
The vibe. Only one is paired to alcohol. That's one. There's just like there's Tiffany. Tiffany just is like a do not mess with, like will slice someone if needed.
Tiffany did shots.
Yeah,
Tiffany does shots that night.
Tiffany does shots that night. Tiffany also has no filter. Not that I really ever have a filter to begin with, but she has like an extra no filter. Like the hinges have just completely come off the door, and we just say whatever's on my mind. And then there is oh God, what's the last one's name? Give me a second. Serena and Vodka, not a good pair. Not a fun pair. Not a fan of her.
Serena.
We try to keep her. She's like that caged monster inside that loves to come out and play. But when you wake up in the morning and there's been like all of this like garbage on the floor that like she's responsible to clean up, but then she like hides back in her cage, and then I'm responsible to clean up. We don't like her. Not a fan.
This is a fun exercise. I don't think I have alternate characters when I'm drinking, but I do have different versions of me where there's like been drinking all day at a ball game, Joey, at like 4:00. That Joey will eat anything. Whatever you want to do. I'll do
Hot Dog Joe.
Tallest burger you possibly can. Yeah, Hot Dog Joe. Let's do it.
Hot Dog Joe's his name. That's one of my gifts. One of my gifts is I can gift people their drunken alter ego name. I gifted all my friends it. It's a lot of fun.
There goes Hot Dog Joe. He's licking the plate of cheese. The nachos were gone a long time ago. The cheese is still on the plate. He's still trying to do it.
Mark,
I thought it would be the opposite, Joey. I thought all the cheese would be gone, but the chips would still be there.
Oh.
Cutting down. I'm cutting down on carbs, Mark. Thought it through. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do another round. Mark, do you have
what's your drink of choice?
Shepherd Boy.
Drink of choice is whiskey, but bourbon, I love old fashions as well. But like honestly, after 2, if I have more than 2 the next day, there's a price to pay, and I don't want to pay that tab. Like it's like it's not the tab, but it's just like when you wake up the next day and you're like, what was I thinking? Where it's like, listen, dude, it's a marathon, not a sprint. The body doesn't recover the same way. And I don't like to just like waste my next day. So it's just like, as much as I love old fashions, this is the time I would drink them though, when it is colder out, versus like you try to do that in the summer and it's just like, good luck if that's your strategy.
Mark, I think that personality of yours is Walter. His name is Walter.
Walter with the sweater on?
Old fashions. Walter with the sweater on. And again, you said you don't want to waste the next day. Like, what guy named Walter wants to waste his next day away,
Never.
Wake up slightly a little angry, just a little angry, I feel like, but like in a good way. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Joey and Jenna, I do want to make mention of this, this being NFL Bleav live show. Raiders game just wrapped up. And if I don't mention this, we are remiss and we missed the whole point. Josh Jacobs today deserves a shout out. 33 carries, 229 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 6 catches, 74 yards. That's 303 yards of total offense, more than 48 fantasy points, and the walk-off touchdown winner. Shout out Josh Jacobs.
Thank you for bringing that to the attention, because honestly, the big thing of the day for me was that there weren't a lot of great individual performances. It was more about like what the teams did and didn't do. That's a crazy number. And to think they were ready to throw him on the street. And, and Jenna, as a Bears fan, that's who they drafted in the Khalil Mack trade. Wow, that's a crazy number. My God.
Crazy stat line. Crazy stat line.
Wow. Oh
Jenna,
my
before you
gosh.
go, happy Justin Fields didn't play today?
Yeah, I am. He doesn't need to play against the goddamn Jets. I don't care if they went into this game 6-4. We do not need to play anything remotely good against the Jets, period. End of story.
Follow up, would you, in your heart of hearts, of course, you want Justin Fields to always be healthy and happy, but heart of hearts, do you kind of wish that he plays next week against the Packers? Because now all of a sudden, that could be like the biggest game of our season, and a season that isn't going anywhere.
And it's a game I'm going to. So I
added
know. Yeah.
bonus.
So part of me would love to see it. I also kind of believe that Green Bay is going to win tonight. That's just my prediction. And then I want them to go into this Bears Packers week a little cocky, and then we win.
Mark, you kind of want to see, I mean, if he can play, Justin Fields beating Aaron Rodgers in a season bereft of wins is an interesting feather in the cap for what's kind of evolving with this Justin Fields love right now, because he's my favorite TV show. I just want to see the next episode. You know what I mean? Like, that's what Justin Fields is to me right
he's
now.
appointment television.
So
Joey.
if he's healthy, he beats the Packers. I mean, come on, that's a 2-hour special, baby. Like, that's a season finale.
Well, yeah, and it would be like Justin Fields completes the pass down Fields to Justin Fields, because other than his 2 stud running backs and Cole Kmet and the chase, he still needs help. And they have to figure that out fast. And I think the Bears are going to be very aggressive in the offseason with more than $100 million in salary cap space and a boatload of draft picks.
Get this man a peppermint white Russian here. Get this man a drink. Right? He's got to get excited for next week.
No, Mark, I'll say
They're
this.
just the worst in the NFL.
No, it's the
I would argue it either way, Joey. Go ahead, Jenny. Go ahead, Jenna.
No, I was just going to say, it's the first time in my life as a Bears fan that I'm actually, I've looked forward to watching this year because we're young. I don't necessarily care about like the win-loss column. I really don't, because I actually feel like I see where the ship is going. And I've never seen where the ship has been trying to go with this team for as long as I've been a Bears fan, or since the last time they went to the Super Bowl in 2006, 2007, I think it was. We're no longer a one-legged duck swimming in a circle saying that we're making progress. And so I don't mind being patient. I don't mind them getting the pieces. But I do think that, it's exciting to watch this team for the very first time in a very long time as a Bears fan. Joey, I don't know if you would agree with that.
I completely agree. And it's a bit of an out of body experience, because I am someone that really kind of ruminates and like laments and gets really down with losses and gets really high with victories. And I've been I've been mature about it, where I'm just looking at this, not what this year does, but like the next year and the next year after that. And for Justin Fields over the last month to give us 4, 5, 6 games of actually tangible, exciting, explosive football, and to think that could be possibly what our future looks like on the regular moving forward, sign me up. And that's all I wanted from him this season, was to just kind of give us some of these glimpses. And he's done it, right? I mean, the one short thing, right, is he's not doing it in the fourth quarter right now, but let's play that game next year. Right now, it's all about, I think, just enjoying Justin Fields and how fantastic he is to watch. And then heading into next year, we can do the fantastic to watch meets the winning football games. And then let's go. It's going to be a fun next couple of years, hopefully, covering the Bears and just watching them in general.
Both of you are sitting in.
It's the little pieces.
Both of you are sitting in a good position, though, because regardless of the outcome against the Packers, it's like, oh, we get a better draft pick if we lose, or if you beat it. If you beat the Packers, it's like, hey, Aaron Rodgers, who owns
it's like, we're
now?
not supposed to win. We're not supposed to win. We are never expected to win this game. So it's kind of fun, because you can go into this game being like, wow, if we win, great. If we lose, like, wow, what a shocker. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, let's just have fun. But I don't know how much longer Rodgers is going to be around, but It would be really
Oh,
poetic
that's-
because I
but
just
he's gonna
love
be back
poetry.
next year. He's still under contract for 50 mil
Good.
for what, the next 2 or 3
Good,
years.
Mark.
So
So
Mark,
then we still
bring
have
him
time.
back.
We can beat him in his last few years. Then is what I'm saying. As the Bears,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
getting a little
listen,
bit better.
Listen,
Green
give
Bay
me
can get
some
a
of
little
that
bit
White
worse.
Russian that you're drinking. I'll have some because of the way that you're thinking right now. I think it's distorting your brain, but I'll have some.
It's okay.
No, this
Being a
is
Bears fan, you've
this
learned
is
that
what
your
it's
brain is
about.
already distorted. It really is.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love it. I love the view. The view is
Don't
so
mind me.
beautifully fuzzy. Beautifully fuzzy. And that's the thing though, Mark, is that honestly, like if you think about it from a selfish perspective, when the Chicago Bears first get a great quarterback, and my dream was that one of the last remaining moments that said to me, this guy is great and this is my guy. I want to put a ring on this guy for the next 5 to 10 years, is him beating a great Green Bay Packers quarterback. And that's it's almost like a video game where you're not at the big boss, which is the Super Bowl. You're at that first boss. And it's Mortal Kombat, the guy with the 3 arms, it's Goro or whatever. And that's Aaron Rodgers. And yeah, I want to beat his ass a couple of times and send him into the ground the way my co-host Corey Wooten sent Brett Favre's career into the ground. And it's the passing of the baton.
Great.
I'm looking for this.
Love that. Great plug for the Bleav in Bears show. It's listen, I'll do it for you. I'll carry that boombox down the street, down Rush Street. We'll go, Joey.
We'll play Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes. It'll be a say anything moment, and we'll know that we have finally arrived. Jenna, the Sunday Night Football game's right around the corner. We got to let you go. Thank you so much for jumping back onto the Bleav NFL Live reaction show. Please plug everything and anything for the people that are checking this now, maybe checking it out a little bit later, to keep up and stay up with all your great content. I'm still super jealous that you got Paul Konerko, but when I say jealous, I mean admiration, because that is such a great poll. Congratulations on that. You're doing amazing work for the network. So please plug everything and anything so people can check it out.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you guys for having me back on. So appreciate it. You can follow me at Bar Talk with Jenna across the board, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. New episodes are out Mondays, which are minis. Thursdays are full episodes. And then Fridays, you can catch a new drink of the week. The Peppermint White Russian was this past Friday. So new drinks coming up. We have a lot of fun holiday cocktails for you to have at your holiday parties. But then you can also look at the catalog. We have over, I think it's like 75 drinks. So we got a lot of stuff for you guys. And thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, there's a drink for you on my page. Just go and check it out and pick your poison and have fun with it.
Always a pleasure. Great work. Keep it up. And I hope to have you back on the live stream soon.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jenna. What a delight, Joey. Oh, man, that White Russian just looked fantastic.
And she's going to get you the ingredients. How about that, Mark?
I love it.
We're gonna have to do some texting back and forth, and maybe do one from far distance. We each have one and clink over a text or a phone call or a video or something like that. We got just a couple more minutes before the national anthem, Mark. So I want to get your take. Packers Eagles tonight. Who do you like? Who do you got winning? And what's your prediction?
Eagles are going to win. They're going to cover 2. The reason why the Eagles have been bad the last few weeks and they tripped up and they looked bad against the Colts and they lose to the Commanders is turnover differential. Through the first 9 weeks, Philly led the league in turnover differential. With 18 turnovers forced, they committed just 3 in those first 9 weeks. The last 2 weeks, they've turned the ball over 6 times and they ranked 31st in turnover differential in the last 2 weeks. So if the Eagles hang on to the ball, they move it, they're effective. A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Miles Sanders and company, and Jalen Hurts guides that offense to a big win. They get some redemption against the Packers at the Lincoln, Philly. Hang on to the football. The Eagles will be back in business atop the NFC. I like Philly, and I like them to cover tonight on Sunday night.
I can't disagree with you there. I think that the Eagles cover 2 as well. The Commanders winning today was bad news for the Packers. And look, I know that the record doesn't even look that good, but every single week we play the same game of, will the Packers turn it on? Do they have a shot? Will they find an identity? And every single week we continue to ask ourselves that same question. I do like the Packers to actually score some points tonight. And, the Eagles have struggled, in my opinion, with staying consistent or sustaining offensive production throughout a 4-quarter game. They take a little time off. think at the end of the day, when the Eagles walk away winners, I think if you're a Packers fan, I think you just really it really starts to hit home tonight how far off you are from actually being not just a contender, but anything close to an elite team right now in the NFC. And if they pick up another loss tonight, man, that really throws another nail into the coffin of their playoff hopes. And
Joey, I'm
wait
sorry to
watch
break your heart, but if the Packers season is lost, it might be Trevor Siemian versus Jordan Love instead of that Fields-Rodgers matchup that you're craving. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, my friend.
Ratings
or better
be
yet,
damned.
better yet, you know what would be even better? Trevor Siemian goes down. I don't wish injury upon anyone. Nathan Peterman against Jordan Love. Now we're talking.
Oh man, that's a can of worms. If the Packers continue to be up the track, would they decide to sit a 38-year-old quarterback who is still their franchise with a huge contract, right?
And a broken thumb as well. So to say, hey, we want to make sure that this is right before 2023 starts. We don't want this to be a lingering problem. Let's shut it down. This season is lost anyways. And let's make sure that you're on track to try to make one more run if you're a Green Bay. That's got to be the logic.
Yeah. And from a broad angle, all of a sudden the Green Bay Packers somehow get into the top 10 or the top 8 to 12 in next year's draft. You know, top receiver off the board, defensive help. You know, that's an area too with a couple quarterbacks that are probably going to go either way, whether we like them or not. A couple quarterbacks are going to go off the board early. It puts the Packers in a good position to pick up a blue chip player. And that's probably what they're lacking right now. More blue chip players. And the Eagles get an opportunity, hopefully, to pick up another win tonight. I think that they do win. And, you know, we're starting to get to the point where, you know, to their credit, they continue to keep pace with some of these teams that are beginning to emerge in the NFC, wins and losses wise aside. But, you know, just in terms of threat factor, the Eagles are still right there. I think it's the Eagles and Cowboys right now, in my opinion. The 49ers, we keep waiting for it. I mean, real quick before you go, where would you put that right now? Eagles 1, Cowboys 2, 49ers 3 in your power rankings
49ers
right now?
above the Cowboys.
2?
I got the 49ers above the Cowboys.
Yeah. You know, they got it done today. I'm just kind of still looking for that complete performance. And, you know, I think there's a lot to be desired still from that Dallas Cowboys offense too, as well. And the word is if Odell Beckham Jr. signs with the Cowboys, he might not even be ready to the playoffs. So that might not be the help that maybe Cowboys fans are wanting to hear coming up right around the corner.
Joey, really quickly, have you ever seen someone get escorted off a plane in your life?
No, I haven't.
I honestly, maybe I shouldn't joke about this because we might not know all the circumstances, but I've just never seen someone get escorted off a plane in my life. And I've flown more times than I can count. And I'll leave it at that because honestly, we might not know everything around what happened today with Odell. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah. And to maybe the vague speculation of the moment right now is also that it wasn't so much due to belligerent behavior, but the fact that he was nodding out and in on a plane, and they had general concern for him was a part of the reason for removing him from the plane, and that's probably gets you a little bit more worried than someone just being a prick on an airplane. You know what I mean? Like there is a little bit of a difference there, and yeah, you're right. Let's see what happens, and
I want to know more information. Yeah, I want to know more information before I make a joke where it was just like you didn't know all the factors of what went into it. And like, okay, this is America in 2022. Someone sees Odell Beckham Jr. on a plane getting escorted out. There's got to be cell phone video somewhere. So I want to see more. And then I can kind of comment on it when all the facts come bear to light. I know in the social media era, that's not popular, but that's where I'm going to leave that.
Well, look, that's going to be a storyline heading into next week, and that's what we do here on Bleav NFL Live. We got to go. This was our Week 12 reaction show. We're here every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern to break down all the week's action with a great and wildly talented roster of the Bleav Sports Network. We have 32 NFL podcasts paired with 32 former NFL players. For all of your knowledge, all your content, make sure you check us out here at Bleav Sports. Follow me at Joey Sports Guy. You can follow Mark at MD Bergen. My friend, man, great to see you. Be well. I love co-hosting with you. We got a little holiday treat in there. Sam Darnold made an appearance. The Shepherd Boy made an appearance. It was a good week. And our Christmas trees are up and rocking. It was a good week.
Joey, you're the man, and thanks so much for having me.
Everyone, be well, be safe. Please be good to each other all through the rest of this year. Come on back next week and hang out with us. Until then, have a great week.